we going? Are we is this it? Can we finally
Yeah.
Oh.
What does that mean? Finally?
It's been 7 weeks.
7 weeks.
Welcome to the Elk Season Podcast, episode 28.
28.
Is that right?
28.
Episode 28. It is October 8th, 2022. We are your hosts, the Chambers Brothers. My name is Harold.
I'm David.
And today on the Elk Season Podcast.
Ooh, we just passed through the Idaho hunting season for archery in the month of September.
Yeah.
And so we have the recap. If you've been missing us, whoever you are, if you hear this.
Yeah.
Or if you are wondering why you should have been missing us because you just found it somehow randomly because you woke up and the internet said, hey, here's this podcast.
You know how the internet is.
Anyway, but no, we take the month off of September because what are we doing otherwise? Hunting.
Yeah.
We don't have time for this.
It was super busy. Yeah.
This tomfoolery of a podcast.
Eventually I would like to update all the stories that we talk about.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff that we need to talk about and get caught up on. Wolves in Colorado are big issue, and it is going to be a big issue for years. And it's just rich because we lived through it.
Yeah.
We grew up in Montana and Idaho and seeing the wolves come back and all the arguments and all the BS and both sides, but it's just slinging crap. It's awesome. And we're just going to watch Colorado go through it. We could tell them, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It wouldn't help.
No.
It's not going to help. They want to fight their way through
it out for themselves.
Yeah.
As every state should.
As we all did. So, and I want to make regular updates on that. Also updates on bears. I love the bears. This is officially the Elk Season Podcast,
right?
But only because archery elk is the greatest outdoor sport in North America. And since September is over, elk season is over. The beginning of the year is October 1st. That's when I make New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
This is because it all my Christmas, my holiday season is September.
Yes, you reflect on everything you've done for the year and you go, okay, here's the improvements, the changes, and the destination of success I'm going to head into in the following year.
This is what I'm hoping for next September. And I want to do this, I want to fish this, I want to hunt this, I want to do this, but by next September, I want X. And filling in that blank every year after elk season is a big part of my year.
Right.
And that is October. And I can't tell you how many campers I've looked at on Craigslist.
I couldn't tell you either.
Just
not recently,
week.
but historically, I'm always going in there at random times.
Yeah. And I really see I was lucky enough. You know what? It's so hard. It's so where do I even begin?
In terms of wrapping up in
terms of elk season.
So you want to start at the beginning. Like what were the things that were leading into the season for you that were important to note? And then, the weekend by weekend situation, because we've made it known we're kind of weekend warriors, even though you had a lot more time, and I appreciated that about you, and I was jealous at the same time, but supportive. It was still a weekend warrior kind of thing.
Yeah. So, well, we got to go back 2 years.
Okay, go back 2 years.
Because in 2020, I came out of elk season realizing I had a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old son, 4-year-old son, and realizing that I had lost a lot of my fitness. I came out of elk season hurting. So I went back to the gym. My wife runs a CrossFit gym. They have an endurance class and they do Spartan races.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Spartan racing is the dumbest thing I can think of other than elk season. So I mean, really, it's so difficult. Why would you put yourself through that? There's really no tangible benefit. You just are dumb for doing that. Yeah, I am, and that's what I want to do. So I start taking these endurance classes, and I immediately hurt my back. I threw my hips out actually. So I had to start a process of really understanding what's wrong with my back. I can't worry about this during elk season, definitely.
Yeah. So, I had that issue last year. I had a back issue the last weekend we went out, and it just sucked.
And learning how to remedy myself when my back or hips acts like that is something that took a year. Then we go through another elk season, And after that elk season, I realized, okay, yeah, I'm still in really bad shape. And so November of last year, I made the commitment to go back to the gym 5 days a week, to the CrossFit gym, which is I've stayed very true to. Some days I miss. Elk season you miss, vacation you miss. But if I'm here and I'm doing okay, I'm going to the gym. So that is step number one. And this year, 2022, I am in better shape than I have been in probably 5 or 6 years. But I'm 50.
Yeah.
So 5 or 6 years ago, I was just a little bit younger. And I was, right? I know it sounds crazy, but you feel it. You feel those years. I feel it. I also hear it. I also see it, because all those things diminish over time.
Yeah.
And so, the clock's ticking. And I want to slow that down as much as I can, and I want to enjoy
regular physical exercise is really the way to do it. I want to enjoy
elk season. That's what elk season is about. Not about the bulls and the antlers and the whose inches. It never is. It never has been. It is about maximizing the enjoyment of the greatest outdoor sport in North America.
Yeah.
And you do that with a little bit of food. We did it this year with a little bit of whiskey. We do it.
Yeah.
We do it with fitness. And I think my elk season was better and happier because I committed to the gym 5 days a week for 10 months leading up. Now, the year before, to get ready for elk season, we climbed Mount Bora.
Yeah.
Which is it was good mental.
Yeah, psychologically,
that
was.
There's nothing going to be worse than climbing the highest mountain in Idaho.
I guess
to climb the highest mountain in Idaho.
I don't think I appreciated it as much last year as for whatever reason, I appreciated it more this year.
Yeah.
For whatever reason,
really,
I appreciated that Mount Bora was going to give me a better sense of hiking in my area where I'm hunting, but this year I thought a lot more about it. Maybe it's because we went to a different area, which was going to be more intense.
Yeah.
And so for whatever reason, and then when we went to that area at the beginning of the month, and when we went to the end of the month, we went to a different area. That other area is much simpler than that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so all of that retrospective.
The valley that we hunt in is so much bigger at the end of the month, but it's so much easier to traverse.
Yeah.
To get to.
Yeah.
The other draw at the other one is so hard to get to, but smaller.
Yeah.
And oh man, it's a great story. It's a great story. So getting in shape is part of it.
Right.
Okay.
And we have our different methods. For me, I was just focusing on weight, which is part of it.
Super helpful.
And so it's
super helpful.
Coincidentally though, I was trying to maintain my weight around the weight that I ended elk season last year, because I had ballooned and I had come down to that weight.
Yeah.
But elk season, probably not even Labor Day weekend, nothing pulled me down below that threshold.
Yeah,
and
really.
So I think I just didn't have enough time out there to focus. So for whatever reason though, I didn't drop below that threshold. So I'm in relatively the same shape, except I could probably hike a little better, right?
Yeah.
So but that's sort of how I prepared, is just trying to make sure I maintain and I'm not carrying any more extra weight than I had to. And we've talked about it already. Like, how do you get rid of some of that extra baggage, even more so moving into future seasons? So that's kind of my goal, is trying to maintain, at the very least, don't gain. And that's an important goal right now for me, because we're about to get to Halloween, which is the beginning
of eating season. Of sugar season. Oh, it's my favorite season, other than elk season. Yeah, sugar season.
And we always have, it's the sugar of Halloween, and we have the big meal we do for Thanksgiving, and then we have two back-to-back meals, because we do a big meal on Christmas Day and a big meal on New Year's Day. I mean, we're talking turkey, prime rib,
food, and leftovers for days, and no excuse to not eat as much as you can for weeks on end.
So my goal is to make sure I manage that more intentionally, because I'm 20 pounds lighter than I was at Christmas time.
Oh wow.
Right.
Wow. And I know I am. I've gained a lot of muscle going to the gym 5 times a week, and I've lost some fat, but I've only lost maybe 10 or 15 pounds on the scale.
Well,
I feel really healthy.
I got up to almost 30 pounds heavier, to be honest. I was
Wow.
pushing 30 pounds heavier than I am currently. And
Wow.
so I just I gotta do a better job of not letting that happen again this Christmas.
Yeah,
So,
and it's as this is the first of the year. This is a hard time. I mean, this is a hard time to get to because you get past New Year's and you got playoff season. You got Valentine's Day. You got St. Patty's Day. Then you know what? It's almost summer.
we're in my house. We're always looking for a reason to make good food. Like
Yeah.
so, the holidays don't really end because you're right. You have St. Patrick's Day when we're doing corned beef.
Yeah.
And we have Valentine's Day and we're doing sugary cookies.
Yeah.
And then we have Easter. We're doing a
Oh
ham.
yeah, Easter. I forgot Easter. And you know what else is in there? You know what else is coming soon? McRib season.
Yeah.
You know what else is coming after the first of the year? Girl Scout cookie season.
Yeah.
It all piles on you, man.
I think I started the conversation about good food, but anyway, continue.
It's a season. It's a season of eating.
A season of eating.
And it, just the act. If you're grumpy when you're hungry and you're happy when you're full, the act of eating is the act of becoming happy.
Yeah.
And we want to do that with loved ones. We never want to eat alone, right? We always want to eat with somebody, become happy with someone. And it's so great because we like to make a lot of reasons to get together and make ourselves happy with each other.
That comes at a cost, and it'll come at a cost during elk season if you're not careful. So
Right.
Got to maintain, got to manage. And it's not that you can't have all that good stuff. For me, I just got to have less of it at a time.
Yeah.
It's portion
Yeah.
control in my world. That's if I just eat less and do it that way, I'll be fine. So I can't gorge myself. And there's days though where it's like I feel like I just have an empty pit and I could shove it down so seconds, thirds.
Yeah.
And I have to get myself to not do that anymore.
Weeks after elk season, I'm still hungry. I am still hungry.
Yeah.
I just so many miles, so much work.
Did you get any new gear heading into the season?
I got lots of stuff to talk about. But I just wanted to preface the season with I've been working out.
Yeah, well, we were just talking about things that got us ready for the season, so I just was throwing in a segue and another.
I'm not on that page, so I'm not ready to answer that question.
Fair enough.
That's all. Because the next big subject is Jared.
Yeah.
Right? Jared is 100% disabled Marine Corps combat veteran.
Yeah.
He is 100% mentally disabled from an IED that hit his convoy when he was in Iraq. And I did not appreciate this 10 years ago like I do today.
Yeah.
10 years ago, because he went with us 10 years ago.
Yeah.
There's a place. So basically, we've been talking about the names of these places, right?
Yeah.
This is Spike Creek. This is this place. This is this place. Yeah. Really, there's a canyon, a gulch, and a creek.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's all it is. When we crossed 10 years ago, I don't know if you remember this. We came down 10 years ago. It was me, you, Charlie, and Jared.
Correct.
And as we came down, we found the carcass of an elk in that field. And then we hiked down and we crossed the creek in the canyon.
Yeah.
Jared had to ask for help. Do you remember that? He said, you have to come back and get me. I don't know where to go. I mean, you can hear the water running. You can hear but it's so thick and gnarled. He asked for somebody to come back. Do you remember that?
So no, and I have I don't want to disrupt your story because the reason why I don't remember that is very clear to me.
Oh,
but it's kind of a silly, goofy, weird thing.
Yeah.
And so, but you were talking about Jared though, and I can come back to that. So
well, that's all. I mean, there's just a place, just right after you cross that creek or before you cross the creek, that is there a trail? Maybe a little bit kind of here. There's trees, there's downfall. Yeah. It's steep, it's thick. And 10 years ago, he says, you guys have to come back across the creek and find me and guide me literally out of it. And he's yelling at us. Right?
Okay.
I'm already across the creek. And he's yelling, can you please come and get me? And I left my pack and I crossed the creek again and I went and got him.
Yeah.
Because I realized, it's a mess. It's just too many decisions to make. Every step is the wrong one.
Yeah.
To him. And And so that's where we left the creek and the gulch and the canyon 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That's where we left that. After that, it was a pretty easy hike out. And we since then have hunted with Jared like what twice?
Yeah.
We tried
barely.
to more. We tried to so much more, but something always happens.
Yeah,
and you just don't know what you're in for. You don't know. I don't even know. So I this is really important too. I have a background because I have a special needs daughter who will live at home with us probably forever, and was in the special education program, and so I have like super patience.
Yeah.
Right. She's just a little off, but you are a mental health professional.
Yeah.
So if there's any two people in the world that should take a mentally disabled Marine Corps combat veteran hunting, it's us.
Yeah. And I think we're qualified. I think it's called. And sorry, this is so you're qualifying me as a mental health professional. So I'm just going to qualify mental disability as a cognitive disability.
Okay.
That's the nomenclature these days.
Oh, okay.
All right. So it used to have different kinds of names, and it's not that what you said is incorrect. It's just
right.
Clinically speaking, we would call it cognitive disability because there's whether it's injury or born, it's a the brain is just functioning and wired in a different way now, and so I know that Jared has problems, which is okay. I mean, I remember him asking for help crossing the creek. You guys come back and get me, and it was like, okay, yeah, I'll just come and do it. So I know that he's off the cuff, man. He's very impulsive. He's just like, what are we doing? Yep.
And he's so excited for elk season. Elk season in Montana starts 2 days after it starts in Idaho.
Yeah.
But he wants to be here for opening.
Yeah.
Which is always hot and miserable. And a 7-9 hour drive. 7-8-9 hour drive.
And we kept him out there for 5 days, which means we hijacked 3 of his opening days of season.
Yeah, but it's all about who you're hunting with. I mean, he's like, let's just go do this. Because he's disabled, he doesn't have a job, and so he doesn't have friends that can just take every single day off and go out with him like he wants to. So if he has a chance to go out with somebody, he'll jump on that and go out with them. He does a lot of hunting with his cousins in Montana. They get a goat tag, they get a moose tag, they get a ram tag. They drive all over the place and do all kinds of crazy stuff. They have a lot of fun. But I have elk season on TikTok. And I made a TikTok video. I sent it to you, kind of as I know you were busy, and I'm like, hey, here's a list I made of my food.
Yeah,
maybe this will help you. But really, I made it for Jared.
Yeah, you told me that.
Right, and I hope it was helpful. I don't know if it was to you. Jared told me specifically it was helpful to him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have plans to meet Jared at the turnoff.
Yeah.
And you're coming up behind us.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to be hours behind, but
I did too.
We were running late. Jared was running late. Jared gets to the turnoff. We have to drive from the turnoff. The turnoff is 15-20 minutes from a town with a store.
Yeah.
The turnoff is 40 minutes from the trailhead.
Yeah.
We finally go, okay, Jared, all right, I'll follow you to the trailhead. Let's go. We hustle to the trailhead. The first thing Jared says to me is, I didn't buy a scrap of food. Not one scrap. We're going in for 4 days, 4 nights.
Yeah.
5 days and 4 nights. And he's like, the first thing he says when he gets that truck, I didn't bring any food. He was too excited. He could not take the time. Even though I had made an awesome video on TikTok, if you just bought this food, we'd sail, man. He told me, and I'm like, it's all right, man. We're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Nobody's going hungry.
No.
You saw how much food I brought. If you saw, and I'll have the TikTok video up on the YouTube stream. If you want to see what that TikTok looked like and all that food that I brought, it was a lot, and there was leftovers.
Yeah. We didn't go hungry.
And
I had a whole bunch of M&Ms go to waste.
Oh, that's such a bummer too, man. Yeah, M&M's sitting in the sun. That's why I keep a cooler in my car, and I get my butter and my sour cream and my guacamole and my cheese, and I roll them up in my sleeping bag to keep them cold for the hike in. And that's kind of my system for doing that.
My mistake was the week before I leave, I packed my pack, and I packed all the M&Ms in the pack out in my garage.
Yeah,
and it was scorching hot that week. So they're already sort of not loving life.
Yeah.
I hiked through Labor Day weekend. I don't eat very many of them because there was so much food. I just didn't eat them, I guess. And then,
right?
And when they carry
so much food,
but I'm like, I'm gonna go again at the end of the month, and so I'll just eat them then.
Yeah.
But they had been mushed and smushed and warmed so much that they had a really, really weird odor and taste.
Like liquefied and re-solidified over and over again inside their candy shell.
It kind of tasted like I was eating dirty socks. It was really gross, and I had to stop eating. You saw me throwing bags of these candies into the garbage.
It's very sad.
So, anyway,
it's very sad.
So I need to do a better job prepping. So I'm making mental notes of what you just described there. In the sleeping bag, put it in the cooler first. Don't leave it in the garage.
Yeah, and I keep it because I'm so afraid of forgetting anything important. When you forget something important, it's so frustrating. So I like to keep all that stuff together in the fridge because I make my squeeze tube of butter.
Yeah.
I made my squeeze tubes of sour cream, and I make sure and keep those all in one little huddle. So, okay, here's all my fridge stuff. So I'm like, I watch the fridge. Hey kids, that's Dad's hunting stuff.
So,
don't touch.
So one of the things that I did that I wish I would have done more of, is food-wise, was they're called Madras lentils. They come in a prepackaged package, and I had you try these out one time, and I realized after that they were horribly expired. So they tasted okay, but they didn't taste great. So I didn't.
Not just expired.
Horribly expired. They're like 4 years out.
I know, and that story inspired me to dump my entire Elk Season food tote. Everything I had in the Elk Season food tote this year was bought this year.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that again next year.
Yeah.
That's
it's probably a
good
practice. So we just forgot that we had them, but we just figured they were still good when we moved. But it took us a couple of years because we moved from our house and we lived in a place for 2 years. Yeah. And so during that time, we went up and I gave you those lentils. Anyway, but I grabbed one because we bought some fresh lentils.
Yeah. Okay?
They're in season. They're in, date. And up there, I made these lentils. I added some cheese you let me borrow. And the only thing that you would, bring some Fritos.
Yeah.
So it's basically chili cheese Fritos. And it's so good. And it's the pouch will warm up in your jet boil. It's not, I wish I would have brought more of those.
Yeah.
I only brought one pouch.
Huh.
So Madras lentils, you buy a big box at Costco. They're a lot more expensive at other stores if you buy them individually. So get them there, and they're easy to pack, and it's really good stuff. And it's so much better than freeze-dried.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, freeze-dried.
But back to the Jared conversation, he mentioned that there is a freeze-dried package of food out there that's amazing, and he said it was the Mountain House
biscuits and gravy. I know.
And I went and I looked to buy some. And I just couldn't.
I should. You know what? I know I talk a lot of crap about freeze-dried food pouches. And I always will. But once in a while, it's pretty nice.
I don't know. We had such a bad experience with that egg dish that one time. It's scarred me for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought it was a finance thing. If only I could afford Mountain House. If only I could afford freeze-dried meal pouches. And one year I could, and I bought nothing but freeze-dried meal pouches, and that scarred me.
I finally got rid of the last two, and they were both egg ones. I don't know what I was holding on to them for. They went in the garbage before the season.
Oh, really? Good.
Yeah. But also something that I put in the garbage just yesterday, and this ties back into the beginning of the season. One of the things that I had to prep the week before, I'm double checking my pack. So I actually packed my pack 2 weeks out, and I go out to the week before I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna pull everything out and just double check that I have everything in its place.
Right.
I go to lift up my backpack in the garage, and the shoulder strap that holds the bag to the shoulder strap snaps out of place. So I've had this bag for 10 years. And I'm just thinking, come on, give me another good couple of years. It doesn't look like anything should go wrong, and it literally just broke. And I have to go buy a brand new backpack, and I have 4 days to do this. So I just went. I came inside. I was a little depressed. I'm like, and there's nothing you could do. You just kind of own it. But I bought a Kelty pack, like what you have. Yeah. And it's better. It's just a better pack than what I had. I don't remember the pack that I had before. It was Teton Sports, I think is what it was. Yeah. And I liked it. It had some lovely qualities, but there's some things that I could have done without because anyway, this new Kelty pack's pretty cool. And anyway, I forgot what else I was going to say, but I just bringing it back to the beginning of the season. I had to prep with a brand new, this season got expensive because I had to get a new pack unexpectedly. I took a look at my hiking boots. And even my wife was like, you need new boots. And I couldn't get the boots that I had been wearing because they're no longer being made. And so I went and I had to up the cost. It was twice as much as usual. But they were twice as comfortable. And I don't have purple toes. That's a purple toe from a different hike. My purple toe that I have is not from Elk Season. I did not get any purple toes from Elk Season with this brand new pair of boots.
That's awesome. That's good.
And I don't wear more than one pair of socks.
Wow.
The only time that I had an issue was when my feet got oversaturated with sweat and they started to hurt on the ball of my feet. And we stopped, we took our shoes off, and now it's fine after that.
Yeah. I got some really great recommendations. I showed a picture after I was done packing the elk out. I had a video of my shoe, of my foot when I took my shoe off after a 11-hour day of hiking. And all the comments were, buy these socks, buy these socks, buy these socks, buy these socks. I'll have to look at the comments.
Okay.
And I need to buy those socks and really give them a try out. Anyways, so we're at the trailhead. Jared gets out of his truck and goes, I didn't buy any food. And so I'm like, okay, well, what do you have? And I know Jared's out of shape. Bad out of shape. Worse out of shape than I was out of shape the year before.
Yeah.
But he does have 5 or 6 packs of cigarettes. Which we asked him, make sure you bring enough cigarettes. One time, he drove 3 hours off the grid, hiked for 2.5 hours into the mountains, and it's like 8 a.m. And he comes to me. I'm like, hey, you go sit over here. You go sit. We're just gonna chill out for a little bit. He comes to me. He goes, hey man, I'm out of cigarettes. I'm gonna go into town. I'm like, so this is we have to know this is what we're dealing with, and you can't stop him. You're like, all right, you go ahead, man. And we didn't see him again.
Yeah.
I mean, I did later on. I mean,
I thought that was the time we caught up with him down at a hunter's camp, and he was.
No, that was I think the same year.
Okay.
Because he went early.
Okay.
That was the same year, but because he was bumming cigarettes off those guys.
Yeah, it was fantastic in all the right reasons.
In all the Jared ways. And I know he doesn't like to hike. He doesn't like to carry anything.
Yeah.
It's so much work. One year, he brought a bike trailer.
Oh yeah,
to the trailhead. Yeah. He's like, no man, I looked, and it's a 2-wheel trailer.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's wide. And he's like, no man, I looked at the trail on Google Earth. It's wide. There's plenty enough room. So he puts all this, and he's trying to carry it. It's made for a bike to pull it.
Yeah.
Not a human. So he kind of has to hunch over to carry it anyway. Made it. That bike trailer made it, I don't know, 200 yards, 250 yards down the trail before he ditched it. He just threw it off the side.
Okay.
And he said, I'll get it when we come back. Because we're hiking uphill, right?
Yeah.
And so he gets his pack, he gets all of his gear, and he's like totally put out that he has to actually carry something. And he throws it off to the side. And we on the way back out, he go, hey, isn't your trailer there? And he goes, yeah, we'll get it. So anyways, so I know he's not like to carry anything. And I feel pretty confident about the weather. I've watched the weather forecast, and I'm like, it's not going to rain. So I told him, don't even bring a tent.
Yeah.
Don't even bring. You don't even need a tent. And I had my hammock, and I had the underquilt for it, but it was so hot, and I didn't have a tarp for the top of it. We just slept under the stars.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
I had a little tent, a little a 2-man tent with me, but I didn't put the tarp on it.
You didn't put the rain fly on.
And that was beneficial because it was hot and you needed that airflow. So
yeah. And you can see the stars too.
Yeah. Oh, that was amazing.
That is cool. Yeah. So I've slept like that just without the tarp. You go, it's not going to rain. I'm not going to bother with it.
I've been up there on where we went on Labor Day weekend with you though, and it was frigid and cold. And you've been up there and it's raining and cold.
Bad.
So this year, scorching hot even at night.
Super hot.
Way too hot.
And it is. The plan was we're gonna hike 3 miles on Forest Service Trail, then we're gonna go to sleep there, and we're gonna get up, and then we're gonna go off the trail for another. Well, my idea was about 2 miles, maybe 2.5 miles.
I forgot. I still don't have the measurement. I totally forgot. I'm so sorry.
It's all right. But we made it about that 3 miles, but. We left the trailhead at dusk. We are going to be hiking in the dark. It is hot out, yes, but it's still the mountains and the sun has just gone down.
Yeah.
I cannot hike fast enough to stay warm. Because Jared is so slow.
Okay.
He's so out of shape. I have to stop and put a hoodie on. Because I'm cold and I can't get my heart rate up high enough to stay warm. Anyway, so and I'm okay. Once we're at the trailhead, I have everything I need for the next 5 days on me.
Yeah.
And my attitude is and has always been, I have nowhere. I have no plans. I have no date. I can stop wherever I want. I can hike as fast or slow as I want. I have no real place to be. I'm just moving. And so I just try to move slow. I really want Jared to stay with us. He really likes these adventures.
Yeah.
And but he's really, really working hard. And I mean his hair is dripping.
Yeah.
And I'm worried about him. So, anyways, we go to bed and we wake up. We cross the creek. We're gonna start the serious hike, and he tries to back out.
Yeah,
he's like, I gotta call it, man.
Yeah,
this is too much. And it was right after that place where we had to help him.
Yeah, it was right after that place where it was right in. Well, you had help. I wasn't there, but yeah, it was right.
You were there.
Right, no.
Okay.
And I wasn't, but I was.
Okay.
I had hiked out ahead because I was having a psychological moment. I saw the gut pile of this animal.
Oh, that's on the way out. I was talking about the way in.
Oh, I was talking about the way out 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I was lamenting that I'm working so dang hard and I can't seem to have success, and I needed time alone, so I hiked out. So I wasn't there to help Jared out.
Yeah.
Because I needed that, it was anyway.
A little bit of space when your whole year is elk season.
Yeah.
And your whole elk season is Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
You're not going to have a good year.
Right.
You're not.
So,
I mean, that's.
And then I did go 2 weeks later to see I wanted to understand the predation of the gut pile. Yeah. So I went right back to that spot 2 weeks later, and I found a hoof.
Yeah.
And I could see the blood on the log still. But anyway, we were in that part hiking in, and you're right. Jared was like, I'm done. And you're like, no, you're not.
No, you're not. Yeah. Because we had gone so far. I know I've measured it on Google Earth a dozen times. It's 3 miles to the creek crossing and 1.5 miles.
Yeah.
1.5 miles to camp. And only 1 mile of that is uphill.
Right.
Now, that mile is uphill.
Yes.
And it's a really good hike.
But this year we discovered some really useful advantages where the uphill is like,
I hiked it 12 times.
It's just
up 6 and down 6.
It's just it spoils you.
Yeah.
When you find the right game trails where the animals access the same area that you're accessing, you recognize that the animals tell you a lot and you should listen to them, because we hiked into that place before and it kicked our feet off. I mean, it just, you couldn't do enough to try to stay feeling physically happy. But this trip, with the exception of Jared, kind of having those moments where it's just really hard, I was really appreciating, and I think he did too, I think we all did, that there are these highways in and out of this location that we hadn't fully appreciated until this year.
Right. And I used them.
Yeah.
I used them. And so we decide to cut to camp a little bit, not so deep in. We were going to go all the way over to this other ridge. We just wanted to stay right there at the bottom of this, at the bottom of this gully, at the top of this gulch.
Which ended up being, in my opinion, the right choice.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know I'm already at 36 minutes. We haven't even, we're not even past the first day.
You're a passionate person. And the story you want to tell, man, don't worry about it. Well, you have nowhere to be.
I have nowhere to be. And there's no time limit on a podcast. There's no time limit. I can talk for 4 hours.
You got 20 minutes.
You got 20 minutes. Let's move it along. So now I realize Jared's really out of shape. And we're deep. We're in deep. Yeah. I have crazy ambitions. I know I do, and I'm grateful that you guys are crazy enough to come with me on some of my stupid adventures because they're just crazy. They're just they're just a little over the edge. We hiked past guys who I know thought they were deep in the wilderness.
Yeah.
They were deep in. And I'm like, okay, we're going to hike there, and that's where our adventure starts.
Yeah.
Then we're going to go in deep. And so that's where I am. And I know those guys, they go, yeah, they felt like they were really in deep.
Which guys are you talking about?
The guys who were sitting in the wallows.
Oh.
There was one I saw, there was one we all saw, and then one I saw the next weekend. That was sitting in the wallow.
Yeah.
And he had camped right there at the creek crossing.
Yeah.
And he had all the same gear I did. He's got a tent. He's got the filter bag. He's got all the stuff set up, and he's camping,
living it up, man.
I'm like, okay. So we're in the gulch, and it's so hot.
Yeah.
And we're tired because we've had a couple of good hikes, and we're like, well, there's some wallows here. Let's sit some wallows. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're pretty ambitious. So we decide once we make camp, we hike all the way back up to the hillside, out onto the hillside to Glass.
Yeah.
We want to take inventory. We want to do a census. What are we dealing with here? Is anything making noise?
And it didn't take long to see elk, but they were much farther down creek from us.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
after
all the hiking we've done, because we hiked in that morning, I'm like, I don't want to go down there and chase them, but I'm mentally preparing myself for, okay, well, they're elk. We're here to hunt. We've got the days.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I hear from you.
Well, there was other elk we saw that were coming out on the hillside, not just down on the creek. There were some on that hillside before I saw that big bull.
But it was just that we were observing all these animals. Yeah. They were not quite in proximity that we were hoping, but then literally right across from us, you spotted
350 yards, 400 yards, something like that. Close. The biggest bull I've ever seen in that area.
Bedded down at the edge of this stand of trees.
Yeah.
And he's just hanging out like
laying down. Laying down.
And
yeah,
geez, I forgot. I almost forgot about this guy because the experience on the last weekend. But yeah, he was so big,
so big.
And maybe it's because he was laying down. He just looked huge.
No, his antlers. When his antlers are twice as wide as his butt.
Yeah,
it's just there's something about a size of an animal. I know he's not standing next to another animal, but you see it and you're like, wow, he's a big monster, character,
just huge. And so we tried to get in on him, but it just wasn't the right conditions, and I guess he was timid. He might have hurt us. We did some things wrong. We could have done better. Yeah,
we learned some lessons.
Yeah,
and it was a great encounter. It's just great to have hiked that far
and to
have some action, to see a bull. To get in, what did we get at about 100 yards from him?
Yeah.
We got pretty close. That's awesome. And we're seeing other elk.
Yeah.
And as we hike back up from that, it's not quite dark yet, and there's this big mud hole. There's this big wallow.
Yeah.
And you had previously, 10 years ago, you had seen elk in that wallow.
No.
Was not that wallow?
I don't know that we had seen the elk in the wallow, but they were on the hillside above the wallow.
Oh, okay.
Jared and I hiked in, and we were screaming with a big bull, and there was a couple raghorns and about 10 or 15 cows, and it was a big group that were going through there, and there was that wallow right below them. but there were more wallows this year because
Yeah.
there were 4 total. Well, the one that you found, it was, but it wasn't.
It's a
wallow.
watering hole.
It's
I
a
know.
watering hole that had the potential, but
Yeah.
there was an even bigger wallow that we came across below the one that we saw 10 years ago when I hiked in with Jared.
Yeah.
And it was impressive, the one that I sat at, but I never saw any action. And I did buy a piece of equipment, an umbrella that's meant for tree stands, but
Yeah.
I needed that umbrella each time I was out
It's
hunting
brutal.
because if I'm
If you didn't
sitting,
have-
it would have just cooked me alive.
if you don't
So-
have shade, man, it was so bad.
and this umbrella I bought for $20 at Sportsman, so it looks
Yeah.
like just a leaf. I don't know if it was good or bad to have, but I didn't hate it. It didn't suck for me because
Yeah.
I was in the shade. So
Yeah, I would have loved to have had one. I always find a tree. You know me, I'm always looking for the shade.
yeah. Well,
So-
but to have a setup on that wallow, I didn't
Yeah.
really have a lot of options. So
Right.
I'm like, well, and here's this, but the sun's coming right behind me. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
so but yeah,
I had to hide in the shade of a burned tree from the sun.
yeah,
The next morning or the other
yeah,
morning when
yeah.
you came in, I'm like, every time the sun moves, I'm just slowly moving in a circle around this tree just to be in the shade. Yeah, it was hot. It was hot. And I'm hearing other people talk about how late the rut is,
yeah,
how late fall is. Guys at the end of September saying there's no changes on the leaves. These are guys down in Utah,
Yeah,
over in
yeah.
Wyoming. He goes, the leaves haven't even changed yet,
Yeah.
which is
We-
something we noticed as well.
at the end of September
Yeah.
in our other zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, just data points
Yeah,
along
so-
the way.
So that Labor Day weekend continued to be hot.
Yeah,
would do-
we sat a mud hole. We called a little bit, and we went back to camp. The next morning, we decided to split up. By the
Yeah.
way, Jared smokes,
yeah.
and David had a little bit of a chest rumble.
Oh yeah, I forgot. We had some sort of coughing issue in my household before this, and so
Oh.
I'm still clearing out stuff in my lungs, and I can't
You can't
stop
help it.
myself
Yeah.
from coughing half the time. So I was
Occasionally, just blurts out this cough, this guttural cough.
and it's just like, and
I feel bad.
And I, mind you, I took 2 extra days from my job to be out here on Labor Day weekend, and I'm
Yeah.
out here during a hot streak, and I have a cold streak, and I have a smoker, and I have, so it's not that the planets were working against me, but I would say that the planets weren't working for me.
And all that hiking and moving isn't, you
Yeah.
need lung capacity for that.
And I felt like I had the lung capacity. That wasn't. It was just that every now and then it's just that. There were times.
So anyway, we decided to split up the next morning. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't be with David. He's coughing so loud. And Jared, of course, he doesn't even want to hike.
Yeah.
He was so tired. He was really burned out.
He just wanted the R&R, man. He was like, I'm glad that you pushed me up here, and I'm just happy to chill.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
Getting a little bit of respite from his life, just
Yeah.
kind of enjoying nature. And
So he had a rough night's sleep. He
Yeah.
kind of set up on the side of the hill, and he woke up 20, 30 feet down the hill.
Yeah, that's
from where
right.
he started. And so he decides to stay in camp. He gets in my hammock, kind of falls asleep.
Yeah.
David goes up one side of the hill. I go up the other side of the hill. David ends up pushing 2 bull elk down the hill through camp.
Yeah.
Jared is in the hammock
Yeah.
when elk come through camp. And he couldn't get out of the hammock. Hammocks are kind of awkward to get in and out of.
Yeah.
He couldn't get out of that, and his bow is still in a sling, right? He couldn't get out of the tent or out of the hammock fast enough or quiet enough, and these elk are just like watching him. And he said he heard him coming down the hill. I don't know why he didn't get ready sooner, but anyways,
He might have been asleep and he came to. It could have
right.
been that.
But it's Jared. So anyways. I put Jared on the meat. That's what we say. I put you on the meat.
Yeah.
You didn't cash in. That's on you. To the previous time, he and I hiked up Elk Ridge, and just before you came, I think you came into camp that night. Him and I hiked up Elk Ridge, and sure enough, there's a couple bulls.
Yeah, that's right.
Down there. We got close to them. So again, I say I put him on the meat.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You're like a regular Arby's.
Yeah.
You got the meats.
So So you saw some elk that morning.
Yeah, I pushed. I didn't see the elk I pushed down, but I came around on a big circle and in one of the clearings right near where that big bull was the previous night. I pushed some cows.
Yeah,
and
and I think I saw a couple.
Oh, and the elk. So we saw elk below the big bull. So I had bumped some of those elk over
because you'd hiked all the way down
there. Yeah. So just not. But it was too hot and
it's so hot. And you did spy there was a good wallow, and as we hike this gulch, we're seeing it's not like the other gulch we hike.
Yeah,
there is not water high in the gulch. The water is all the way down in the gulch.
Yeah.
When we hike that other place, man, I can't believe how high the water is.
There's springs bubbling out everywhere.
Still.
At the end of the month. Then.
But in this other place we hunt, and it's even lower on the mountain. It's so much lower in elevation, but there just isn't the same amount of water.
The water table's just different.
It's so hot. I'm thinking they have got to be coming to water. Yeah. These guys tell me he's sitting on a wallow. He said he had a guy at 15, 20 yards,
but he couldn't get the right shot.
He couldn't get the angle on him. So I'm thinking, man, it's so hot out. The rut's not happening yet. It's just Labor Day weekend. Let's find some wallows to sit. You said you found another wallow.
Yeah, when I came
you
around,
hiked all the way down to where you saw those elk, and then as you're hiking back up, you find this wallow.
Yeah.
So Jared, we gave Jared the wallow close to camp.
Yep.
Which I don't think he ever went to.
It's a quarter mile, and then I was a half a mile, and then yours was almost a mile away.
Yeah, pretty close. Yeah, and I haven't looked at any of those measurements.
I just know what my Garmin InReach told me. Right.
Okay.
So because I was like, I'm headed back to camp, and I think I looked one time. I was like, oh, I'm only half a mile away. Like that's crazy.
Yeah. So I know it's so. Once you're there, it's easy to move around, and there's lots of good little pockets. I've always loved that gulch. So I go, well, Jared has this big wallow that's up there by camp, and David's got this nice wallow that's just real so close to the pocket and where we saw that big bull.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want a wallow.
Right.
I want to sit a wallow because I just want to sit and eat snacks, right, and watch my play Candy Crush or whatever. I'm an idiot. So I do want to see some elk, and if sitting a water hole or a wallow is my chance to get it, then let's take that chance. So I hike to find a wallow.
Yeah.
And so I hike all the way down. I don't see anything. I realize I dropped a call, so I had to hike all the way back to get one of my favorite calls. And I go, okay, I'm just gonna cross the creek and try to find a wallow by hiking that side, because you said you could see the wallows from that side.
Yeah.
And so I just climbed up, so I went to cross the creek, but before I even crossed the creek, I go, oh my gosh, there's a wallow.
Yeah.
Or a watering hole.
Yeah.
I go, you know what? It's close enough. I'm tired. I've been hiking. We hiked that morning. We took a little nap. We hiked in the afternoon, and I'm like, you know what? I'm done hiking for the day. I'll just set up here and I'll pretend I'm waiting for elk until dark.
Yeah.
Right? Until I'm too cold and I want to start hiking again. So I'm there waiting, and I see two bull elk chasing each other ridiculously across this ridge across from me.
Yeah, and I had spied an elk, but I couldn't tell what it was on that ridge from where I was positioned at my wallow. So I was able to see some of the activity that you were seeing, but not very clearly, because I just saw one animal, and I had no idea what I was seeing. But that we were able to put those stories together later.
Right.
But
it's about 7:30.
Yeah.
So it's pretty close. It's going to get dark 8:10, something like that. But it's 7:30. The sun is down. You've watched the shade creep up the hill, and now I see these bulls running around.
Yeah.
And first of all, they run from right to left. Then I see them run from left to right, and then I realize that there's 5 bulls.
Yeah.
And it's a little bachelor group, and these 5 bulls, I realize what they're doing. The ones who I saw running was a spike and a spike 2-point.
Okay.
They were just young. You know how young kids are, just running around, just, grab. I call it grab assing each other. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is happening. There's no way they're not coming to this wallow. this is happening, and I am watching them. I got video. I'll put the video up with the podcast. So if you want to see it, so I have these 5 bulls. I know they're coming right into me. There's 3 spikes still in velvet, a small spike, a big spike, and that spike 2 point still in velvet, and 2 raghorns not in velvet anymore. And I go, okay, this is it. This is it. This is going to be a bull elk for me. This is how it's going to happen. I'm telling me the story before the story's happening.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a good story.
This is how it's going to happen. I get to pick. I get to choose an elk out of 5.
Yeah.
All right. I know my distance. I think I'm about 55 to 60 yards away, which I should have been a little bit closer. But I'm that's how far away I am, or at least that's how far away I think I am. And I go, okay, I'm just going to wait until one of the raghorns, whichever one, I don't care, whichever one of those raghorns is in the watering hole and broadside. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the shot. This could be happening. This is how I'm telling the story now, because this is how I got to tell the story forever. And sure enough, minutes go by, like 4.
Yeah.
And they are all 5 almost within range.
Yeah.
There's two of the spikes are in the watering hole with the raghorn.
Yeah.
When the raghorn finally turns sideways, and I loose the arrow.
Yeah.
And I miss.
I
miss. It's a clean miss.
Yeah.
And I'm still beside myself. And I understand. I think I understand all the factors, most of the factors that happened in that. I'd used my 60 pin. It was a 53-yard shot. When you came back, you had your rangefinder the next day.
You always impress me with your ability. But see, this is your learning started 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And that
we didn't have rangefinders then.
No, but you have this ingrained sense of distance, which is impressive to me. And I want to second guess it. I want to not believe it, but every time I've collected more and more data on you,
right?
Okay, because we'll be out target practicing, or we'll be out in the bush, and you're like, it's this, and I'm like, well, I've got my rangefinder.
Yeah.
Oh, he's right. But it's not that it's bad. It's just like, holy crap! I'm kind of amazed, and it's impressive and it's just not something I have a very good skill of judging, because if I have judged in the field, I've judged wrong and I've missed because of that. And so not using my rangefinder has disabled me from doing better.
Yeah.
So
I think your rangefinders help me a lot because every time we say, we'll stop and just mess around sometimes. How far is that stump?
And I'll be wrong, but you'll be.
I'm still guessing, but it's just good practice.
Yeah.
It's just good practice. So I miss that bull. I come all the way back to camp. My blood's pumping now.
Yeah.
I am in it. I haven't taken a shot at an elk, and I don't know how long.
Yeah.
And we are 2 days into elk season.
2 days.
2 days. This is like the second night.
Yep.
And I'm like, I have taken a shot at a bull elk. This is already next level elk season stuff. I was so excited.
Compared to what we experienced last season, last year, just that alone, you can finish elk season on Labor Day weekend 10 times more successful than what we had at all last year. Last year was so hard, hot, hardly any animals.
Even hotter, even drier. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a big perk to the situation that we had up there in the gulch. Right.
So the next morning I'm like, same thing. Let's go back to the watering holes.
Yeah.
See ya.
Right.
I'm going back to this really hot spot. And of course I didn't see anything. I don't remember what I saw or didn't see that day. But that afternoon I went right back to the watering hole. And this time the elk did show up.
Yeah.
They showed right back up the next night, but 3 different bulls.
Yeah.
I like 2 5 points and a 6 point.
Yeah.
They were all big. They were all big boys. And I'm like, I'm almost in the same spot. I'm closer.
Right.
And I'm like, this is happening again. This is happening again. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. I cannot believe this is happening again. And these 3 bigger bulls are coming into this same watering hole. And about 75 yards away, the lead bull stops in his tracks and just sticks his nose up in the air and takes a big whiff. And right then I'm thinking about it, and I can feel the air. There wasn't a lot of good places to set up, but I can feel the air just brushing past my ear hair. And I know it's swirling enough to where they're going to get.
So coincidentally, I watched a video last night. Randy Newberg, it's from like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
He's talking about the swirly winds of the what do they call it when the sun hits the bottom and
the
all
thermals.
That? Thermals.
Yeah.
Thank you. So he's talking about the thermals, but he said something that has always stuck with me, and I didn't just learn it from him. He just reinforced what I had read in other books and experiences. And he goes, "You can fool their ears, you can fool their eyes, but you'll never fool their nose."
Yeah.
And that is absolutely true.
Yeah.
That is absolutely true. So you have to play the wind game is his message in that video. And that's something I haven't done very well at to this point, but it's something I need to continue working on improving.
I definitely need to give the wind more weight in my equation of what I'm doing.
So some of my closest encounters were because the wind was in my favor.
Constant and strong,
or it was before the thermals.
Yes. Yeah.
So hiking up early in the morning.
Yeah.
Before the thermals have a chance to do anything. And that play, and we won't have time to get to it today because we're already at 56.
I know.
But the last, watching that video reminded me that our experience at the end of September was related to that lack of thermals because it was before the thermals happened. And so I was, but the bulls I had when the wind was stiff and going in one direction, but they were right there across from me, or the following year opening day, there's no wind at all. It's just hot. And so it took the slightest breeze, but it was 30 yards away from me. I just couldn't pull the dumb string.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, fool their ears, fool their eyes, but you'll never fool their nose. And that flared nostril is I mean, the last day of one season where I told you I was 10 yards from that cow in the mountain in the
candy cane.
No, I was up Morning Ridge.
Oh, okay.
And there's that opening spot on Morning Ridge. I was in the bottom, and I heard a bugle, so I went ahead and hit my little cow call, and I had no idea there was elk that close in there. And she pops her head up, and she looks at me, and I'm just dumbstruck because I'm like this thing, and I can see the red glow in her eyes, and and then her nostrils flare. She looks at me, and she looks away, and then she looks back, and they get wide open. It's like the same thing that you would do with your eyes when you're really surprised at something.
Right.
You would open your eyes.
Your pupils dilate.
An elk dilates its nostrils. Yeah. It's ridiculously obvious what they're doing. So,
and I know these elk are hot. I know they want some water, but that situational awareness is important enough. And they had to climb that hill again.
Yep.
They got to turn around and go back up that hill.
You told me they looked like they were tired. They looked exhausted, and then they exhausted. I know. And they come down, and then they're like, "We're out of here." But you're like, they almost like they were leaving like crap. We didn't want to have to do that.
Yeah, yeah. So, anyways, I come back and I tell you guys, "Oh man, they came in again." And was that the last night?
I think that was the last night. Because the next day we had to just kind of hike out of there.
Yeah, but I'm like, okay, and we hiked out. We the next morning, we had a really great weekend. Anytime you have a weekend where everybody's safe, you don't have to be rescued. Right. That is elk season.
And you have good encounters, and you see good animals. The highest frequency of animals I've seen in that gulch. And I've only been in there 3 times. Once without you, twice with you. Yeah. And so it was nice and refreshing to get better data, more data. I don't know that I want to do that hike all that often because it's a lot.
It's a big
one. But I'm not disappointed with if the opportunity arises. It's just nice having an area that has a little honey hole of activity, and it has a nice highway to get in and out, and it's just off the radar for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's great. And so I have some really good personal reasons to go back to that watering hole.
Yeah.
Right? I've had 2 groups of elk 2 nights in a row come to this watering hole. And so we hike out, we say goodbye to Jared, and you have to go back to work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, next weekend, I'm coming here. Thursday, I'm hiking in again. I'm going to hunt Friday and Saturday, and I'm going to come back out on Sunday. And so I do that. I go to that watering hole the next 2 nights. I go Thursday night and Friday night. And it was like a full moon.
Oh, yeah.
And nothing came in, I think Friday night. And with I waited all the way until dark. Finally, the dark came and there's a big full moon. And I have to hike all the way back to where we camped.
Yeah.
And as I'm hiking, the full moon is lighting up this entire hillside. I don't need a flashlight to see.
Yeah.
In the darkness, I need it to see where I'm stepping because it's dark where my feet are, but the whole hillside I can see. And there's an owl hooting.
Yeah.
So it was a very, very one of those really
sort of surreal,
precious moments that happened during elk season that you just so much emotion is there. So I went in there the next 2 nights, the next weekend, and didn't see anything at the watering hole.
My thought is this, because the next part of the story has a lot of details.
Yeah.
And we just crossed the 1 hour.
I know.
I think it would be worth it for us because I think there's so much cool details here.
Okay.
I don't want you to have to rush it.
Yeah.
So why don't we put the brakes on? We got through Labor Day and the next subsequent weekend, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the other 2 weekends.
Okay, hold on. I'm not done with this weekend yet.
Oh, I thought you were. I'm sorry.
Because this weekend, I'll leave it there. I'll leave it when I say the next weekend I get a bull. Okay, and I'll leave it there.
Okay,
That's the cliffhanger.
okay.
The next weekend I get a bull. This weekend though, the 2 nights I'm there for 3 more nights.
I misunderstood which weekend you were on. I thought you were already at that.
No, I'm on the second weekend.
Okay.
So I go to the watering hole 2 nights in a row, nothing. And I'm even downwind because now I'm understanding how the thermals work in that area. And I can either be on this side of the creek or that side of the creek. And if the wind is doing this, if I'm on this side of the creek, boy, they are going to get slaughtered. Yep. I am going to stick one. So I'm thinking about that. Now, you know how you're telling the story.
Yeah. 100% confidence.
Every time. And so they don't come in 2 nights in a row. They don't come in. I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's been a week. Let me the next night I'm just going to hike high on the mountain. I'm going to glass.
Yeah.
And I'm going to find out where they are. And then I'm going to try and get in on them. Try to wait for the thermals to switch after the sun goes down. Try to get in on them. So as I'm glassing, I'm way, way high in the gulch and I'm glassing. I see what I believe are those 3 bulls again, the 3 bigger bulls, because they're all 3 of them together. I've posted video of these 3 on my TikTok.
Yeah,
and I can see them at the watering hole.
Okay,
and if I would have been there,
dang it,
because I flew down that ridge.
Yeah,
I'm coming down that ridge towards the watering hole, and as I get onto that little rock outcrop, I can see one walking out of the watering hole.
Oh, goodness.
Which, by the way, the day before, I found someone else's arrow. Like they had set up there and shot and or missed. The arrow was broken in half.
Okay.
But it's like, clearly, this is a good place to be taking shots at elk.
Yeah, no doubt that, right?
So I was frustrated by that. But it was nice to even get close to elk. And I hiked back to camp, and that was my second weekend of September. The next weekend, I would go in alone again, and kill a bull.
Yeah,
and it is not what I expected. It is not what I expected, and I will tell you every detail of that in 2 weeks on the next episode of the Elk Season Podcast, on episode 29 of the Elk Season Podcast. We'll finish up elk season. And if that was any fun at all, if the first 2 weekends of elk season was any fun at all, the last 2 weekends are going to blow you away.
Right. in ways that you may not expect.
Never. I would never have expected it.
Would have never expected it.
Some great lessons, though.
And some really unique observations in regard to other hunters.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. I'm excited for next season, basically, simply because of what we experienced the last weekend.
Yeah.
And we know, and this is a lesson we know, but it kind of just came home for us.
It sinks a little deeper.
Really,
it sinks in deeper every time.
Wow ways.
Yeah.
So, all right, till next time.
So until next time, which will probably be in 2 weeks.
Okay.
And
we'll get it before the end of the year, we promise.
We'll be back with the Elk Season Podcast. Thanks, everybody.
Be well.
Have a great couple of weeks, and we'll talk to you next time.